So customer perceived value is customer's assessment of the products and service capacity to satisfy his or her needs. Customer is balancing the perceived benefits of a product or a service against the perceived costs.
Customer perceived value is a multiple dimensions concept based on heterogeneous benefits, material and immaterial benefits, and heterogeneous cost, monetary cost, psychological cost, and time and energy cost.
So let's start with the customer benefits. The benefits are first of all material. When a customer buys a product, he or she will pay attention to the benefits. So for example, design, speed, performance, color. So all these benefits are material. For example, when I buy a car, then I will pay attention to the design, the speed, and the performance of the car. Or when I buy a computer, I will pay attention to the design, for example, Apple, to the speed, processor performance, hard disk drive performance, but also the color. So these benefits are material, which are the core benefits of the product. But customers generally do not buy a product only for these material benefits. They will also pay attention to immaterial or intangible benefits, which are related, for example, to services. After sales service, if you compare low-cost competitors, the airline sector, Ryanair against Air France, then Air France will offer and differentiate itself through the service benefit. So it is important to enhance the product with immaterial benefits such as services. But also within the relationship marketing paradigm, personalization is an important element which creates benefits for customers. There are also other elements such as social image through brand image. When customers buy a luxury brand, they also want to achieve social benefits. There are benefits related to hedonism, experience, and pleasure, which are also immaterial. And so when customers buy a product, they also value pleasure and hedonism. There are benefits related to relationships with others, which are particularly important in the relationship marketing paradigm. And CRM relationships with others are also valued and create benefits. And finally, brand capital, that is the value of a brand, also creates benefits. Generally, customers do not buy a brand only for one of these benefits, but they buy rather for different benefits. So they might value material benefits such as performance, speed, or design, but they might also value then relationship benefits or hedonistic. You take the example of a social network such as Facebook. Clearly, the design is important, right? And the ergonomy of the website or of the social media network. These are material elements, but customers come there to satisfy benefits for pleasure, to find nice pictures, or also find nice stories. But they come also there to have relationships with others, strong relationships with others, bonding benefits, or loose relationships with others, which are called bridging social benefits. They come also for personalized messages, because Facebook is giving more and more personalized advertisements and messages. So this might be also a benefit that customers perceive on Facebook. And so you can see customers do not buy or prefer one alternative to another one for one benefit, but generally for a bundle of different benefits, which are material and immaterial. If you compare two airline carriers, for example, Air France with Ryanair or Asia.com, you have clearly material benefits, which is the design of the planes, the comfort on board, with board video, with a large number of movies, which business class benefits, with food, with champagne, even in economy class. So these are clearly benefits that are researched by customers and differentiate Air France in a premium segment. On the other hand, you have low-cost carriers who have no space, no seat space, no video, no food, or if you want to have food, you have to pay, which is the basic offer, only based on value can create it through enhancement of material and immaterial benefits. And in summary, the benefits are not monodimensional, but multidimensional, and customers are generally searching for different material and immaterial benefits. Within the CRM, clearly personalization, relationships, are benefits that are strongly valued by customers. Have a look to the cost, so customer cost. So first of all, we think about monetary costs for customers. They have to pay to get the benefit, and the money they pay represent the monetary. And marketers have a tool which is called sales promotions, with which they can decrease the price. But they're not only monetary costs. There are two other dimensions of cost which are perhaps even more important when customers are choosing an offer. These costs are related to perceived risk. Precisely anytime customers consider purchasing a new product or service, they face a set of uncertainties about the product or service, collectively referred as to perceived risk. The level of uncertainty of consumer depending upon whether the purchase he or she making will be worth or not. Perceived risk is the uncertainty a consumer has when he or she buying items, mostly those that are expensive or characterized by high involvement, for example, a car, a house, or financial services. Every time a consumer considers buying a product or a service, he or she has certain doubts about the product, especially if the product question is highly priced. There are different types of perceived risk. The first is performance risk, with the question, does the product perform well? The second is financial risk. Can the consumer afford it? How much money will the consumer lose if the product does not satisfy him or her? There's the time risk. How much energy and time is consumed to use and to understand the product? There are precisely also learning costs. There are psychological risk. That is, if the product affects uncertainty and the mental well-being of the user. There's the social risk. Does the product increase my social belonging or my status? And there are privacy risks. What about data disclosure to get the product? So in summary, these are the different dimensions of perceived risk, and they negatively influence the perceived benefits or perceived value. They are cost factors, and subsequently they influence negatively the adoption or buying intentions. So let's have a look to time and energy cost. Example related to the time we take to purchase. For example, the purchase distance when we go to a retailer. If you take the car, I have to find a parking space. All these are time costs and negatively influence the choice between two different outlets. Means to decrease these costs are related to services. Home deliveries, so services which are given to customers in order to decrease the time. That is why today customers prefer e-commerce, because it enables them to decrease the time cost. You have finally the psychological costs, which are related to uncertainty and risks. This means that when customers buy, when they pay a price, they want to have benefits. But sometimes we cannot evaluate the quality and the outcome of the offer before purchase. So we are confronted to risks and uncertainties. So these costs are quite high because we're always afraid that we are not satisfied. The higher the purchase price, the higher this psychological cost. And therefore, it makes sense to work on services, service recovery, relationship marketing, which decrease these psychological costs. In other words, if I know that when I'm dissatisfied, I get my money back, or I have a perfect service recovery to get my damage repaired in order to increase my satisfaction, then the psychological cost decrease can be clearly seen by a low-cost product. You have no service or no relationships, which means that when you have a problem, the damage might be high and the cost might be high. On the other hand, if you have a perfect after-sales service and service recovery department, this means that customers decrease these psychological costs. For example, if customers buy Apple, then they buy also the CRM or the relationship, the service, that Apple cares about the customer when a problem appears. For example, exchange of the product or quick repairing of the products compared to an unknown brand where we are not sure to find the same service. Thus, the cost increase because we have the risk that when the product is not repaired, that we lose everything. And that is why it is important to focus on these psychological costs. And premium brands generally offer premium services, premium relationships in order to decrease these psychological costs. Through insurances, through perfect service recovery, through money-back guarantees, but also through word of mouth, and brand capital. All these factors aim at decreasing psychological risks. So, and in summary, perceived value is, as we have seen, the assessment between the benefits and the cost, which is also called the profit to the customer. The higher the benefits, the lower the cost, the higher the perceived value. There are different means to increase perceived value by increasing benefits, but also by decreasing cost, and namely psychological and time cost. You could keep a price high under the condition that you decrease the time cost and the psychological cost. The customer will perceive more benefits through these services, and a lot of customers are ready to pay higher prices to have lower psychological and time cost, which is today more and more valued in service economy, which means that firms have to focus on relationships, customer relationship management, personalization, personal service, which we will see later chapter. To conclude, not the cheapest product is the preferred one, but the one with the lowest overall cost and highest perceived value. And in other words, not the monetary costs are necessarily the most determined factors for the choice, but rather overall material and benefits, and above all, the decrease of psychological and time and energy costs.